Floridians are still trying to grapple with the devastation that came from Hurricane Ian. Survivors, they can go through a range of emotions. That's stress, anxiety, and, of course, survivor's guilt.
That's right. And it's not just the residents there. It's also the first responders that are going through their own set of emotions as well.
Yeah, we want to bring in psychologist Dr. Carole Lieberman to talk more about the critical topics that often don't get talked about enough. So, Dr. Lieberman, thank you for joining us here. And Florida, of course, we know, is no stranger to severe weather, but repeated large-scale tragedies like we see with hurricanes and tropical systems like this take a toll on people. So what is it like? How is this different from other tragedies?
Well, first of all, any weather event that turns people's lives upside down, literally, is going to bring out the best and the worst in people. So, for example, we have looters and we have bad insurance companies on the bad side. And then we have beautiful stories of rescues and so on, and people giving others, companies making 5,000 sandwiches, and all kinds of donations and so on, good acts on the other side. So, it's really, first of all, people should not expect themselves to just bounce back, just because the hurricane itself has passed. It's going to take a while. They're going to be dealing with all kinds of feelings. Some are going to feel paralyzed. Some are going to feel regretful that they didn't leave. Some are going to feel regretful that they didn't stay. They're going to feel angry, scared, all kinds of different emotions. So they shouldn't they shouldn't be frustrated with themselves if they can't get to the business of putting their life back together right away.
And you mentioned that they shouldn't feel like they have to bounce back, immediately. What are some tips that you have to recommend to those who are coping right now and maybe coping towards the right way?
Well, first of all, you have to simplify your life. There may be certain things that you've been working towards and so on before the hurricane. But right now you have to just concentrate on the basics. You have to make sure that you have healthy food, not indulge in alcohol or certainly not drugs. You can keep yourselves occupied. Obviously, for a lot of people, there are things to occupy themselves in regard to putting their house literally back together. But also, the biggest thing to make yourself feel better is to help others. So regardless of how you have been devastated by this, there's always some way that you can help others, even if it's just calling someone a loved one or a friend to make sure they're okay, or going over to a neighbor and cheering them up. Doing something for other people will be the best to help you in the long run.
And Dr. Lieberman, off of that point, I want to emphasize that because we've talked about, and you have just highlighted it too, where people are giving out sandwiches, neighbors helping neighbors. That poses some vulnerability in itself because now you're putting an emotional toll. This is somebody I know, and you've seen their life totally changed forever. For the first responders and those that are volunteering, maybe you weren't directly impacted. You're coming into this area. What kind of risk is that? And how do you process some of the visuals and stories and moments in the coming days and weeks?
Well, yes, of course. It's hard for first responders to, I can look at a story on television of a rescue and feel heartwarmed. But for first responders that are doing this 24/7, or a lot of hours in a row, of course it's very painful to see so much tragedy. You need to take breaks. You need to tell each other about stories of rescues and how lives were saved and so on, and how people are appreciative of you. I mean, this was a very horrible hurricane. Over 100 people died. And so, yes, the first responders are seeing really, horrendous sights, but they have to feel comforted in the fact that they are doing so much to help people.
Definitely. And Dr. Carole Lieberman, thank you for sharing some of those tips with us. And I think it's important, like you had said, share those stories, right? Don't keep them to yourselves. Don't feel like you have to take this on alone. Everybody's trying to do their part, and everybody is contributing. So, Dr. Carole Lieberman, thank you for spending some time with us here on Fox Weather.
Thank you.
Definitely some good tips there.